All right, you can lock the door, leave the lights on, I gotta go on my sleep.
All right, good evening. My name is Paul Tagliaferri. I'm the chair of the Northborough Zoning Board of Appeals. It is October 24th, 2023, past the 7th. The hour is 7 p.m. This open meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law on March 29, 2023. All members of the Zoning Board of Appeals are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The act allows the Zoning Board of Appeals to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation. Unless such participation is required by law, this meeting will feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Susie Cislika.
Here.
Brad Blanchett.
Here.
Mark Rutan.
Here.
Fran Backstrand.
Here.
Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Robert Federico.
Here.
Lori Connors.
Here.
All right, so some basic ground rules. So for presenters and or applicants listed on the agenda, the chair will invite each speaker or applicant on the agenda by name to make a presentation or speak to the application. Participants will provide their full name and hold until their name is called. Each speaker will be asked to mute their phone or computer when not speaking and to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded to them by the chair. Speakers who wish to respond to the comments of others do so through the chair, taking care to identify themselves. Each vote taken by the board or committee will be conducted by roll call vote. For items which have public comment, if you are on the meeting by phone, please dial *9 to raise your hand and wait to be recognized by the chair. Please note that part of your phone number will be visible to those viewing the meeting. If you are on by Zoom, please click raise hand at the bottom of your screen and wait to be recognized by the chair. The chair will ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, the chair will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comment. Okay. First up is the continuation of the consideration of the petition of David Cooley for a special permit to reconstruct a non-conforming structure destroyed by fire, a special permit for use in the groundwater protection overlay district, and site plan approval for a proposed 5-unit, 4,600 square foot multifamily structure and associated site work on the property located at 129 Maple Street, map 52, parcel 17, 1829 in the residential C zoning district and groundwater protection overlay district area 2. All right. Mr. Cooley, is there anyone else that you are looking for to help present for this application?
Justin Leclerc.
Justin Leclerc? Okay.
Yep.
All right, Justin.
It's actually Brian Marchetti here with McCarty Engineering.
Hey, how's it going?
Meeting tonight.
All right, so this
Should be Jay Gallant too. Is he sitting there waiting?
I don't see Mr. Gallant in the attendees.
I just sent him a text.
Okay. Dave, do you want to wait for him to come or?
No, it's all right. No, continue on. We'll roll with it. Jay's the
Okay.
architect, but we got the engineer here. We should be good.
Okay.
All right.
So this is just a continuation of the application that we heard earlier this year. I guess there's been some changes, some modifications to the design. I guess if you want to just take us through sort of, what is the current design? What sort of updates have you guys made? And we can start from there.
Okay, certainly. So again, my name is Brian Marchetti with McCarty Engineering, registered PE in the state of Massachusetts. Here tonight again for 129 Maple Street. So the plans were initially filed back in May. We had subsequent meetings in July, September. We've made the latest rounds of revisions based on comments from September, including, do you want me to share a screen? Would that be helpful?
Yeah, sure. I think that would be helpful.
Make sure I get the right one. So, looking at the plan here, basically the changes included eliminating the second driveway, which was on the right side of the page. The parking area was eliminated on that side, and we enlarged the parking area on the left side of the site.
Hey, Paul, can you just keep your eye open? Jay's saying he's trying to log in. Just sorry to stop you.
Yep, sure thing.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So anyway, the parking area right here on this side was eliminated. Parking was amended and included over here. So we enlarged the parking lot on the left side of the page. We removed this existing driveway. The site plan shows this area being removed and planted with loam and seed. Oops, sorry, go back there. Landscaping was modified. Some of there was lighting added to the plan. There were different trees that were added along the street frontage. And it's noted to add some small patio lighting along the walkway in the front. The other change included in the back of the building here, these patios were all changed to match the paver walkways in the front. So they're all pavers now. The building was moved back from the street frontage. So it went from about 51 feet to about 78 plus feet. And then at the town's request, we also revised the lot so that it was now, instead of 3 separate parcels, it was combined into one lot. So the lot size increase, it went from about 21,500 square feet to 52,702 square feet. And what this did was it reduced the impervious coverage on the property from the single, when it was a smaller lot, from 12%. Now that the lots were combined, it's a bigger lot. Now we're down to about 8.7%. So since that plan was filed, we made the changes. We submitted it last week. We did receive some conditions of approval from Lori. And I don't know at this point if you'd like to just go through those conditions of approval and what we agreed to. Basically back and forth. We asked some questions. Lori came back with some responses today, and we're pretty much all on the same page now with what the conditions are and how we're going to address them. And as that condition of approval, if it's accepted tonight, we'll revise the plans and file them, addressing all the concerns. So let me stop sharing for 1 second. I want to look in my file over here I opened up the previous set of plans. This wasn't the latest set. So I want to make sure I have the right plan in front of you to show. So, yeah, this is the latest set that was revised. So Again, here you see we note removing this loam and seed. We've changed the patios in the back to the same pavers. The parking lot was expanded, building was moved back to that 78.8 feet. So if we can go through the draft conditions of approval. There were, I believe, a few pages of them. So majority of them are all acknowledged. We'll add them to the plan. So the first one is adding a location of a water main within the public right of way. We acknowledge that can be added to the plan. A new 2-inch water service provided from the main in the street and not the curb stop as we had noted it in the plan. So as you see here, we were proposing to connect to the existing curb stop, but we're not going to do that. The DPW director wants us to connect directly to the main in the street, so that will be revised. The 8-inch fire line shall be connected to the water main with a tapping sleeve and valve. We agree to that. That's an easy note and detail on the sheet will change. The water trench detail needs to conform to town standards. We acknowledge that. We'll revise our detail. Number 5 was the pre-treatment for TSS, excuse me, and oils. Parking area runoff shall not be directly recharged. So the current design we're trying to maintain the existing grades on the site. So the water flows in this general direction. So the water from the parking lot will flow to this pea-stone diaphragm, which is basically a stone trench that has a layer of filter fabric a few inches below grade, so that the top layer of stone can be removed and cleaned and all the sediment gets caught in the filter fabric. The town engineer doesn't think that's adequate. So we've done test pitting out on this property. Groundwater is about 7 to 8 feet below grade. So what that will do here is instead of this pea-stone diaphragm, we can put just a row of bituminous berm here, put a catch basin in the corner, and we can discharge it to a small underground infiltration system, just like these roof leaders. So the water quality unit they have oil capture storage volume inside the units, be a catch basin or water quality unit. They provide the TSS removal rate that's required prior to infiltration. And then this water will just be directed to a similar basin to what both of our dry wells are proposed. So it's a simple change to the plan. We already had the details for the dry wells. It's the same type of system. So we'll modify that to accommodate the parking lot runoff. Number 6 was a standard parking space detail that conforms to town standards, 9 by 18 feet. That detail will be added to the plan. They've asked us to add a note specifying that dry wells shall be a minimum of 10 feet from the foundation, and a detail showing the installation of the inspection ports at each end of the isolator row. That detail will be amended to include that. A downspout detail that conforms to the site design, that will be modified as well. Number 9 was a bituminous concrete pavement detail specifying 2.5-inch binder course and 1.5-inch top course. We've agreed that instead of 4.5 inches, 4 inches is adequate. So we'll revise our detail to accommodate 4 inches. This is one of the details that was changed from the last submittal. The southernmost cypress tree shall be changed to a shrub. That was here, this tree at the corner. It's in the proximity of the water main connection. So instead of a tree with roots, deeper roots, we'll have a shrub installed at the corner. So that's an easy modification of the plan. And then the final set of plans shall incorporate all conditions of approval in the same revision date on all sheets for review and approval of the Assistant DPW Director. He would like us to modify the stormwater plan for review and approval to clearly present existing versus proposed conditions, not limited to impervious areas, direction of stormwater flow, and treatment measures. We can add that. That's a simple change. They want to revise the long-term O&M plan to include the definitions of a major storm, what constitutes the dry well system failure, and what constitutes the pea-stone diaphragm being clogged. Again, we'll modify that to a catch basin or water quality unit. We'll have that discussion with DPW to make sure we're all on the same page, and the town engineer that they accept the BMP that's proposed. And then record of this decision and the final approved long-term O&M plan will be recorded at the Worcester Registry of Deeds. We acknowledge that. We'll attend a pre-construction meeting with the construction supervisor, planning director, DPW director, building inspector, fire chief, and other municipal officials. We acknowledge that. All those notes will be added to the plan. The hours of operation related to construction shall be limited to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. No site work shall take place on Sundays and legal holidays. We acknowledge that, and that will be added to the plan. Throughout construction, the applicant shall maintain a dumpster on site to dispose of construction debris. We acknowledge that. That can be added to the plan. When earth movement activities occur at the site, a water truck shall be present to ameliorate dust as conditions warrant. We acknowledge that. Water services shall be designed and installed in accordance with the standards and regulations of DPW. Acknowledged. Fire suppression services and connections shall be designed, installed, and inspected in accordance with the building code and Northborough Fire Department requirements. This project triggers the need for an approved system of automatic sprinklers in accordance with NFPA 13D. We acknowledge that. The septic system shall be installed in accordance with the standards and regulations of the Board of Health. This application does not require a new septic system, just a new septic tank, and that was agreed upon by the Board of Health. So we agree, we'll just modify the language that the septic tank shall be installed in accordance with the standard.
I will swap out that language, no problem.
Yeah, that's all. Prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall confirm the amount of proposed impervious cover by submitting a completed impervious cover calculation form to the Assistant Director of Public Works for her review and approval. The approved form shall be submitted to the building inspector with the building permit application. We acknowledge that. Prior to issuance of occupancy permit, the applicant shall complete the following. Submit the results of at least one permeability test performed within each area to be utilized for the infiltration. Verify all assumptions made in the design of the drainage system. We agree to that. And again, as I said, the septic testing that was done on site confirmed that groundwater was located between 7 and 8 feet below grade. So there should be ample volume or ample elevations for us to install these BMPs with that minimum 2 foot of separation. The next comment is provide documentation that each infiltration area has a minimum of 2 feet of separation, which I just spoke of. We will provide that. Prepare and submit a complete operation and maintenance inspection report to the Assistant DPW Director. We acknowledge that. And then prepare and submit an as-built plan of the entire site, which shall include at a minimum and is applicable to the project, a permanent benchmark, elevation of all utilities, pipe inverts, outlets, pipe sizes, materials, slopes, all drainage structures, limits of clearing, grading, and fill of all structures, pavement contours, all dates of field work. The as-built plan shall also include certification that the infiltration area was built substantially in accordance with the approved plan and will function as designed. The as-built plan shall also indicate any areas where the as-built conditions deviate from the approved plan. Upon approval by the Assistant DPW Director, 1 Mylar and 3 paper copies of the as-built plan shall be submitted in addition to an electronic copy compatible to town GIS system. The as-built plan shall be based on the town's vertical datum NAVD 88 and the horizontal datum NAD 83. The applicant shall install 5 path lights along the northern side of the paver walkway within the mulch bed that shall be motion activated. We acknowledge and agree to that. All exterior lighting shall be energy efficient and dark sky compliant with full cutoff luminaires. We agree to that. All trees shall be set back a minimum of 5 feet from the road right of way. We're okay with that. The property owner shall ensure proper maintenance of plantings on the site, including those used for screening purposes in perpetuity. Dead or diseased plants shall be replaced within the following planting season. We acknowledge that condition. And then the final one here is any substantial modification shall be subject to ZBA appeal review and approval. The planning director, assistant DPW director, and building inspector shall determine what constitutes a substantial modification. And that also we agree with and we're okay with. So those are all the conditions. They're very simple changes that have to be made in the plan to comply with all the conditions. And, upon approval of the project, we can have that turned around and back to the town within a few days at most. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Okay. Great, thanks. Do you want to just take us through sort of the updated floor layout?
Here.
I would say Jay could probably take care of that. You want to go over the updated layout, Jay?
All right, so I should share my own screen then?
Sure.
Yeah, or Brian, if you have the plan, you can share.
do you have
vice
it?
versa.
Do you have it or?
I don't think I have the,
All right, just a sec. I'll get it.
yes.
All right, so based on. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. All right, can you see it?
Yep.
All right, so these are the updated floor plans. We also did a schedule of exterior finishes for the design review board. Met with them last week. And so what we've done is in each unit, we've taken the room towards the back. That's now a dining room open to the living area. I mean, it's kind of a flex space, you know, but this is, we're labeling this the dining room. It's essentially one large room with the bathroom in the same location. We didn't change that. Then on the second floor, you go up the stairs. On the second floor, there's a bedroom that essentially takes up the entire second floor with a bathroom. So it's a simple 1-bedroom design with the bedroom on the second floor and the living area on the first floor. Exterior, we've added some updates with materials and some clarification on some of the design features. Columns, we do a PVC column layout that has some visual interest to it. We've added windows on the side also. We were not showing them previously. So on the side, the left side, this little piece right here is the sprinkler room. So the 2 water lines will go into that room and the sprinkler system will be there. And then you can see it there on the left and here on the side. And then on the right side, we've also added a couple windows just to make it look better. And they had some really good feedback, and we've gone with basically everything that they suggested. A lot of good ideas. And that's what we've updated.
Okay. Are there any questions from town staff or from board members?
I have no questions.
I've got one comment, if I may.
Sure.
During the design review committee, the subject came up of electronic vehicle charging spaces. I don't know if it was in the list of conditions that was read off by Justin, but there will need to be one electric vehicle charging station for each unit, which means the wire from the parking lot back to the circuit breaker needs to be in place by the time of occupancy. The charger unit itself doesn't have to be there, but if there's a electrical box that you can bury in the ground so that when the time comes to actually put in a charging station, you put on the pole and you put in the charging unit and you just tie it into the junction box. But that is part of the state energy code adopted on January 1st, and then the commercial side was adopted July 1st. And that is, although it is part of the code, I think design review is going to be asking for items like that in the future, just to make sure that it's in place. I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
If I can speak to that, I believe the what is allowed for that is to be ready. So a conduit will be installed out to the parking spaces back to the building, but the physical wire and the electrical connections don't have to be made yet. So as long as it's the conduit is in place to have those installed, in the future is needed, that meets code. So we would agree to a condition.
So I guess, Bob, was that a request from design review or?
Well, design review brought that up during their discussions, and I reminded them that whether they like it or not, it's actually an energy or building code requirement anyway. So sometimes I'd like to put it in just to make sure everybody's aware of it up front.
Okay.
That's all.
Thanks, Bob. Mark, you have your hand raised?
Is on the back of the building, between the patios, is there any anticipation of any screening from patio to patio, or is it just wide open, or are the occupants able to put some sort of fencing or screening up?
Want to go back to the site plan?
Could just answer it from there. I mean, you could pretty much see it.
If there is none, I'm just curious.
Yeah, currently there's none proposed. We just have the patios in the back with no screening or fencing.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Susie. Can you give your hand raised?
I'll put down my hand, sorry. Hi, so the bedroom on the second floor was just all one room? And it has no ability to turn into 2 bedrooms or anything?
That's correct. So there's really no way to do that because it's just one large open space. The bathroom's here. It's just one room.
And then I was gonna ask about the basement as well, because I saw the bulk. Is the basement finished, or is it all one common basement, or how is the basement situated?
The basements have to be separated per unit, so there'd be a foundation wall right in between each one, and just
Okay.
stairs down to a wide open unfinished basement with the bulkhead in the back.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Susie. Are there any other questions from the board? If there are members of the public who wish to make a comment, this is a public hearing. If you can please raise your hand on the Zoom app, or if you are in by phone, if you can please dial *9 to raise your hand. All right. So I see one hand raised. Hi, Sandy. If you could please just state your name and your address. Hi, Sandy, can you hear us? Hi, Sandy?
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, if you could just
Okay,
please
thank
state if you could just please state your full name and your address, please.
Sandy Howard, 9 Johnson Ave.
Okay. What is your
Question is, this building was so old, I'm sure this is asbestos. How are they going to mitigate the dangers of that? Because I do have a neighbor, a resident that's a severely compromised system. How are we going to keep her safe when they start demolishing the building? I mean, I know it's the fibers when they start taking the building down or whatever they're going to do.
Probably a good answer for Bob to answer, because it's, all the asbestos has been removed. We had a certified company come in there. That's part of the demolition process, but I can defer to Bob on that.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Sure, Bob.
We do have the records that there was asbestos in the building. It's been abated, and a test is done for cleanliness and air quality, and it's all come back satisfactory according to the DEP. I have those records on file, and that is required as part of the building permit, the demolition application for the existing building.
She and her daughter, even with dust and anything and pollutants in the air, what's going to happen? She's right there on the corner. I mean, she's going to have to keep windows closed. What's she going to have to do?
Well, I would recommend you keep your windows closed. I would also recommend that the demolition team have a truck of water with a spray gun in the event it gets exceedingly dusty. You know, the building is a couple of 100 years old. You know, to ameliorate the problem, I would say, number one, you know, keep the doors and windows closed for the day. It's only a day or two. You know, and then as the building is coming down, if they could mist it with some water, I think that would be reasonable.
So that was her.
That was a condition of approval.
What's that? Okay, that was her concern. I have some questions that I know are not going to go over well, and I know it's not going to go anywhere, but I personally don't even want that there. I don't think it fits the neighborhood. I know I'm not going to win, just my opinion. I chose this area because of the aesthetics, because it was quaint. I don't want townhouses and apartments right on my corner. How many are going to be occupying this, Dave?
There was 5 units there and there's gonna be 5 being replaced.
So there's going to be 10 residents?
If they're all married, I don't know. I mean, I think that's kind of you know, they're only 1 bedroom, so it's either gonna be him and him, her and her, or him and her.
But the thing is, so the upstairs has a bathroom?
Yep.
So what's to prevent that from becoming a makeshift bedroom?
The upstairs is a bedroom if you're watching the plan.
I did. But that means more residents.
So I'll just say, I think the plan as stated by the applicant is that there will be 1 bedroom upstairs with a full bath, a kitchen, a living room, a dining room / living room with a full bath in the first floor, and then a unfinished basement. That's the plan as presented by the applicant. And I think based on the septic from the Board of Health, it's a 5 unit with a 5 bedroom building. And so it's sort of limited from that regard.
So what's to prevent people from bringing more people in to live with them? How are we going to know? I don't think it's funny. Okay.
Okay.
So what happens when they have guests? Where do they park? Parties? Where are they going to be parking?
So based on the requirements from the town, I believe, Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 1.7 or 1.5 parking spaces per unit, right? Something like that. So the requirement, I believe, is 8, and there's 9 parking spaces.
So there's actually 10 parking spaces proposed.
Okay.
9
Okay, 10.
There's the requirement is 1.5 per unit.
Yep.
And then when you add it all up, they also want 10% with for visitors with you know, obviously you're rounding up to the nearest hole. So if the base is 8, you know, rounding up 10% is 9, and they're providing for 10.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Sandy?
No, it does. Like I said, I'm not trying to be, you know, difficult. I just feel that,
Yep.
you know, I think if it were your neighborhood, you'd feel the same way. And for the reason we chose to live here, to me, it doesn't fit in. That's, like I said, I know it's not going to help anything, but I had to voice it. And I just hope the board takes into consideration how they would feel. You know, it looks nice, Dave, it does, but it just, to me, it doesn't fit here.
That building was there first. You know, it's been a multifamily for almost 200 years.
Yeah, but
So it is
looked
what
like
it is.
It looked like a home.
It's an absolute disaster and an embarrassment to the town and the condition that it's
It is,
in.
it certainly is. But
And here I am as an investor taking multi-million dollars and coming here and building something beautiful like
What I'm
this.
saying is, Dave, it was a home before. It wasn't a row of townhouses.
Okay.
Okay, that's all.
Yep. Thank you very much, Sandy. Appreciate you calling in and providing your opinion. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. If there are any other members of the public who wish to make a comment, if you could just please raise your hand or dial *9. All right, if someone wants to just keep me honest, I don't see any other hands raised at this point.
No hands.
Okay. Mark, I think you had your hand raised.
Just that I move to close the hearing.
Okay, I guess I'll just say, are there any other questions from staff or any other questions from the board at this particular time before we take up that motion, Mark?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, and then I guess just for the applicant, are there any other last comments, questions, concerns that you wish to address? Otherwise, I think we will take up Mark's motion.
No, I just want to say, I just think my team has done a great job. Taking a building that, had a fire in it where, someone was killed and coming up with a plan and, rebuilding it in a safe manner, with a full, fire suppression system in it. Each unit has firewall blocking in between each unit. And, I don't care what anybody says, this is a huge upgrade to the neighborhood. You couldn't have asked for a better design and a better building. I know some of the neighbors might be upset, but when their property value goes up once this is built, that they're all going to be calmed down. So I appreciate you guys taking the time. We put a lot of effort in this. We went through everything that everyone had asked and pretty much said yes to everything. And I think this is just a win for Northborough all around.
Okay, thank you. So Mark made a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Sorry, Fran, Brad beat you on the second there. So Mark made a motion to close the public hearing. Brad made a second. We'll do a roll call vote. Mark?
Aye.
Brad?
Aye.
Susie?
Aye.
Fran?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Okay, thank you guys very much. I appreciate you dialing in.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up on the agenda is the continuation, the consideration of petition for a variance submitted by Om Shri Jagadavi LLC for relief from requirement to submit a disposal works construction permit issued by the Board of Health with a building permit application to allow reconstruction of the structure on the property located at 27 Belmont Street, map 109, parcel 20 in the Highway Business Zoning District and Groundwater Protection Overlay District Area 2. The applicant has requested that this be continued without testimony to the November 28th at 7 p.m. meeting. Is there a motion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to continue the 27 Belmont Street application to Tuesday, November 28th, 7 p.m. Without testimony.
I'll second.
Okay, Brad made a motion. Mark seconded. Roll call vote. Brad?
Aye.
Mark? Susie?
Aye.
Fran?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Okay. Next up is continuation of the consideration of the petition for the special permit of groundwater protection overlay district submitted by Wen Ying Zi for the use of a personal service establishment on the property located at 247 B West Main Street, map 82, parcel 16 in the Business West Zoning District and Groundwater Protection Overlay District Area 3. Hello, can you hi, can you hear us?
Yes, hi, good
Hi, how
evening.
are you? Is it
Good.
just you that it's presenting tonight, or are you expecting anyone else?
No, she's here with me. This is
Oh,
Miss
okay, cool.
Ray. My name is Vivian Chan, I'm a friend. So I will present this to you all. Should I start?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so first time. This is for the premises 247B West Main Street. This will be previously it was a clothing store, and my friend she's going to open an aromatherapy store. The business hours will be from Monday to Sunday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. So the service provided there will be Swedish massage, deep tissue massage, and also foot massage. I know there's a special permit application for the groundwater protection overlay district. So the items they are going to use at the premises will be household items, which include the lavender oil, the baby oil, the regular shampoo, conditioner, body wash, hand soap, and body lotion. So we provided the safety data sheet for all the items that they're going to use at the premises. They are household items and they are safe and they are degradable. So I don't believe there will be a potential risk for the drinking water or to cause any contamination for the groundwater. This premises is about 1,200 square feet. And at the very beginning, they're going to have 2 employees at the premises. Though these 2 employees all have aromatherapy the credentials, and they are also licensed. They're going to have 4 partitioned rooms. Each room will have a massage bed to provide the service. They're also going to have 1 massage chair in the lobby. And also there will be a 1 shower room. Just
So-
one last note. This is located in the plaza, so I don't think parking will be an issue.
So can you confirm, is this on town sewer?
Let me
It
double.
is.
Or,
It
Okay.
is on public water and public sewer.
thank you. So I guess, Lori, I guess in the question I have just real quick, like, what kicks off the groundwater thing for this? If everything is sort of a shampoo, conditioner, essential oil type of stuff?
Yeah,
Lori?
it's because it's a personal service establishment. And that's not one of the exempt uses, the by right uses in our zoning table. So unfortunately, any personal service use has to go to the ZBA for a special permit.
Gotcha. Okay. And obviously the list of lotions and chemicals and stuff has been vetted, and obviously there's no hazardous materials or anything that would exist with this business.
That's correct. Yes, we received a letter from the Assistant DPW Director saying that she had no concerns about this proposed operation.
Okay, cool. Are there any other questions? Are there any questions from the board or any comments from town staff? No? Okay. All right. So this is a public hearing for members of the public. If you were on the meeting via Zoom, if you can please click the raise hand button, or if you're on by phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. So I guess just while we wait. So you said your hours of operation are 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Is that Monday to Saturday?
Monday to Sunday.
Monday. Oh, okay. So every day. Okay. Someone wants to just keep me honest. I don't see any other hands raised at this particular time. No. Okay. I guess, are there any other questions from the board with regards to this application?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, but if there are none, I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing.
I would second.
Okay, so Brad made a motion to close the public hearing. Mark seconded the motion. We will do a roll call vote. Brad,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Susie,
Aye.
Fran? Was that, sorry, Fran, that was an aye?
Yep, that was an aye,
Yeah.
yes.
Sorry, okay, and I'm an aye as well. Okay, thank you very much. We'll have a decision at some point later on tonight.
Thank you very much.
So, thank you.
Take care.
All right, so next up on the agenda is to consider the petition for a modification to an existing site plan approval and special permit in the groundwater protection overlay district submitted by Lilica Grooming Spa Inc. to eliminate the office use limitation and allow the use of a pet grooming business on the property located at 440 West Main Street, map 80, parcel 33 in the Business West zoning district and groundwater protection overlay district area 3. Lori, do you know who would be the one?
Yes, we have Jay Carrera.
Okay. And hi, Jay, can you hear us?
Yes.
Hi, how's it going? Are you expecting anyone else on this call?
Yes,
Or-
we're all here. The dog groom is myself. And I also have my architect here as well, Clay Smook.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Is there,
Smook Architecture out of Westboro.
okay. Are there any other attendees that you are looking to be added to this meeting at this time?
yes.
It's Karina.
That- That's outside the current.
Oh,
screen.
no, I'm sorry. I thought,
Okay. Yeah, so I guess if you want to just start and just give us sort of an overview on sort of what it is that you're asking for or looking to do here.
address being 440 West Main Street, map 80, parcel 33, in the Business West zoning district in groundwater protection overlay district area 3. We're looking to consider the petition for a modification to an existing site plan approval and a special permit in the groundwater protection overlay district submitted by Lilica Grooming Spa Inc. And to eliminate the office use limitation and allow the use of a pet grooming business on the property located again at 440 West Main Street.
And a little history here in that when Jay built the building, it was pre-COVID. He assumed that a building like this would obviously be in office use, which made probably the highest and best use for it. Obviously, since COVID, there's not a lot of people adding business spaces and office spaces, and he feels that this would be the best use for the space at this time.
Okay. So Lori, this is a modification of an existing decision from 2017, right? In which the zoning board at the time had a condition that required the building to be for office use only, right? So the proposal here is to sort of take an existing business that exists on Main Street or West Main Street and basically move it to this building, and it's a pet grooming service.
Correct. So
Okay.
in that particular zoning district, office use is a by right use, but personal service is also a by right use. So they don't need a special permit for the personal service establishment, although they do need a special permit for the groundwater protection overlay. So it would simply be a modification to eliminate that particular condition that limits it just to office use. So from what I understand from speaking to Mr. Carrera, he wants to be able to use the building for any of the by right uses that are allowed in that particular zoning district. And then in particular, he wants to modify the groundwater special permit to allow the personal service use of a grooming facility.
Okay. So I guess then just to start, what is the proposed hours of operation of the grooming service?
I'll let Link speak on that.
Yes, it's gonna be 6:30 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Saturday.
And then, Laura, do they provide a list of sort of any chemicals or things that were?
They did. So
Okay.
those chemicals were already vetted during their approval for the site that they currently have. I think it's 326 West Main Street.
369,
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was it?
369 West Main Street.
369. So they were submitted once again for review of the Assistant DPW Director. It's my understanding that there's one various chemical that is not going to be used this time around. So it was vetted twice and approved, and we did receive a letter from Megan recommending approval. She does not have any concerns about this particular use. There were some conditions of approval that were assigned to the other facility, and her suggestion was that they apply to this facility as well. Some of them didn't make sense, having to do with the parking. So I did not include those particular parking stipulations, but the other ones I did include. So there's a condition about no boarding or overnight stays of animals. The hours have changed, so I'm happy to modify that on the draft decision. Originally, the hours were 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. As you just heard, they're interested in expanding their hours from 6:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Other conditions were that the employee shall not walk the dogs outside. If the dogs do end up making a mess outside, it will be cleaned up immediately and deposited in either a dumpster or a mutt station. There shall be no storage, application, transportation, or disposal of toxic or hazardous chemicals in quantities greater than normal household use. There was a condition in the original approval saying that all dog grooming products shall be organic and natural. I'm assuming that still holds true for these chemicals. So then there was a condition of approval saying that if at any point in the future the proponent plans to store or use any products that are toxic or hazardous at this location, they will apply for an amended special permit and include the type, quantity, and containment storage requirements. And then I added an additional condition that says, except as modified herein, the provisions of the decision in 2017 shall remain in full force and effect.
Okay, thanks, Lori. So I guess, so for the building located at 440 West Main Street, it's a two-story office building. And so this business will take up both the first floor and second floor?
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay.
With employees on the upstairs only.
Okay. And so then I guess the conditions that Lori stated about sort of the no overnight boarding, the disposal of waste and everything, I assume that none of those, you know, any additional chemicals that are brought into the business, are those are all acceptable conditions?
Correct.
Okay. I guess then for other board members, does anyone have any other questions? Fran?
Thank you. I just have a question. When I'm looking at the building, there is a large portion of it is a two-story, but then on either side are one-story. Are those like individual units that would be rented out and or to other businesses?
No, all one business.
It's a continuous floor plate, so they're taking the whole building.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Fran. Mark, I thought I saw your hand raised, but
That was my question. Are there any other businesses or room for businesses on the property? And Fran got a clear answer on that.
she beat you to the punch. Okay. Are there any other questions from board members at this particular time?
One other?
Yep, sure. Go ahead, Mark.
Bob, has there been any incidents with this, the operation of this business at its current location that you know of?
Not that I'm aware of. I have not heard any complaints or issues or anything like that. I do know that they've been interested in expanding their business. They came in to their present location 5 or 6 years ago, and they've been asking for expansion ever since. And I just, business is good for the dog grooming business, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess just to confirm then, right, so you're moving your entire business to this new location.
Yes.
So you will basically cease operation at 269 West Main. Okay. This is a public hearing. If you were on the Zoom call or via Zoom, please click the raise hand. If you're on by phone, please dial *9. Are there any other, I think while we give it a minute here, are there any other questions from board members or comments from staff? All right, so I don't see any other hands raised at this particular time from the public. Someone wants to just keep me honest. All right. One last time, board members, any other questions? Otherwise, I think we can entertain a motion to close public hearing. Mark.
I motion that we close the hearing.
Second.
All right. Fran's on the board. Mark made a motion to close it. Fran seconded. We'll do a roll call vote. Mark?
Aye.
Fran?
Aye.
Brad?
Aye.
Susie?
Hi.
And I'm an aye as well. Okay. Thank you all very much. Appreciate the time. All right. All right. Next up on the agenda is to consider the petition for a special permit in the groundwater protection overlay district submitted by Hannah Chen for the accessory use of a home personal service on the property located at 29 Wilson Road, map 100, parcel 51 in the residential C zoning district and groundwater protection overlay district area 2. All right. Hi, Hannah. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So I guess you want to just give us a just sort of an overview as to why you're here and what it is you're looking for.
Sure. I'm Hannah Chen. I live at 29 Wilson Road. I am seeking permission from the zoning board to allow me to operate a cottage kitchen bakery out of my residence. This request does not include any additions to the residence. Nothing is changing. As a business, here to provide a fully inclusive bakery that is top 8 free of allergens, but tastes just as good as the originals with all that stuff that most people are allergic to. I'd like to start at a low volume specialty order only, and then as things hopefully progress, increase to farmers markets and then other things depending.
And so I guess just like so just from how you are going to operate the business, right? Like what is like the plan for the foreseeable future? Like
the reason why I'm asking for the special permit is because I'd like to stay out of the house at this point. I'm a full-time mom. I need to have the flexibility of being that mom, being the taxi service, the homemaker, and, you know, as an extra, as an allergy-safe baker. I'm, you know, trying to do this as flexibly as possible, which is why I would do ordering on demand, and pickups would be between the hours of 9 and 6, hopefully very intermittent at the moment. And everybody would be coming to my residence. And if possible, you know, everybody would be parking in my driveway without, you know, obstructing anybody on the street or anything like that.
Okay. And so how big is your driveway?
My driveway can fit 6 cars. And I am the first house on the block, so I, you know, am easy to find and redirect to go the exact same way that they came. So I should not interfere with my neighbors.
Okay. And you said your hours of pickup are 9 to 6, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I guess we could just start with board questions. Are there any questions from the board?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Brad.
Yeah, so a question for the applicant. So you're making these cookies, the food, whatever, at your house, right? So that's it. There's not going to be like cooking classes or additional employees. It's just you trying to just get a business going?
It's just me. That's the whole goal. It's to be out of my house. Everything, like I said, because it's allergy specific, I have an extra oven that I will use specific for this, so no other allergens would be have any cross contamination. I have all separate utensils. I, you know, take care, everything is put away nicely. I have been approved by the health inspector on August 28th of this year. I am ServSafe certified. I did that last year, so it's good for 5 years. I also have the allergen awareness certification, which I did this year. So, you know, I really do take it seriously. My daughter has life-threatening food allergies. I have friends who are celiac, and I, you know, am able to bake for them. And, you know, I really do take it seriously. And I haven't had anybody, you know, not enjoy my baking, and also they're able to enjoy something that they don't always get to have.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
Guess this should be a reason why we should meet in person then, so we can maybe get some samples.
Yeah.
Yeah, virtual cookies are not the same.
Not the same. All right. Mark, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, you said that you have a second oven. How is this powered? How is it installed? I mean, is it a code? Is it installed according to code, is I guess what I'm getting down to.
Yes, it's an electric convection oven. It is installed into my peninsula. It is not movable. It's not relocatable. It is placed in my kitchen, cannot be removed for any reason.
Okay, and it was installed by an electrician with
Yes.
the amp, whatever. Okay, great. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Mark. Susie, you have your hand raised.
Hi. I just thought for the record that could you just recite the top 8 allergens for us?
Of
For
course.
everybody that wouldn't know. Thank you.
The top 8 allergens are peanuts, tree nuts, dairy, eggs, soy, gluten, fish, and shellfish. And with those allergens, 1 out of 13 kids are someone who might have those allergies, and 1 out of 10 adults. And with that known, that's from the CDC and the FDA, is that most people who do suffer from allergies are multi-sufferers. So they don't only suffer from one allergen, reaction to one allergen. They most likely have multiples. And as a town that we have 15,000 residents, that is easily 1,500 allergy sufferers that have one or more allergies in our town alone.
Thank you.
Thanks. Are there any other, so we're going to go to public comment. If there are any members in the public who wish to make a comment, if you are on by Zoom, please click the raise hand. If you are on by phone, please click or dial *9 to raise your hand. And so I guess just from like I think the assistant town engineer sent us a letter. I just want to notate that there was no chemicals or toxic or hazardous materials. I think this is similar to another case we've heard tonight where, because it is a home personal service, it triggers a sort of groundwater special permit. So I don't see any members of the public with their hands raised at this particular time. Let's see, Lori, and then Fran.
I just had one quick question. Are you interested in installing any signage at your property?
No, not that I know of at this point, due to, I do have, my house is very easy to find and whatnot. If I do have anything, it might be one of those, little lawn signs that you put in with metal that would say, this bakery, but I would not have anything, permanent.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Fran, I'm going to come to you in a second. Bob,
on that, thank you, Paul. On that subject of signs, if you are interested in putting up a sign, they have to adhere to the sign bylaws, which requires a building permit for that. You can contact my office for the specifics and the limitations about what you can and can't do. So to prevent you from wasting any money, if you want to put up a sign, see me first.
Of course, I will go through the proper channels, just like, I did through all of this so I could be here in the first place. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Fran.
My question has to do with the signs. Thank you.
Okay, cool. All right, so I don't see any other hands raised in the public. Are there any other comments or questions from the board at this particular time? Nope. All right. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I move to close the hearing.
Go for it, Mark. Yep, I'll second it.
All right, Mark made a motion to close the public hearing. Brad seconded that motion. We will do a roll call vote. Mark?
Aye.
Brad?
Aye.
Fran?
Aye.
Susie?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Okay. Thank you very much, Hannah.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Does anyone want to take a 5-minute break before we get into decisions? Or do you want to just go through this? Let's just go through. All right. Why don't we start? We'll do similar to what we did last time. LIFO, last in, first out. We can start with 29 Wilson Road. the application we just heard. Does anyone want to go first? Mark?
Okay, I see this as a goodwill on the business owner's part to inform us that she's running a business. I see this having relatively little impact on the neighborhood. You could have friends over with more impact than her baking business is going to create in this neighborhood. And I think that if it becomes a successful business such that it has an impact at the neighborhood, at that point, she'll be moving it out into some sort of commercial operation elsewhere. So I guess I'm in favor of going for this special permit here. And I don't see any negatives to it.
Okay, thank you. Fran?
I would concur with Mark. I did just want to note that there were, in our packet, there are several letters from people in the area supportive of this, which is very nice to see. And knowing the Northgate neighborhood, I think she will need a sign at some point because it is the most confusing neighborhood in our town. But otherwise, I am in support of this and I wish her well.
Okay, thanks, Fran. Thanks for notating the some of the letters of support from neighbors. I mean, I guess what I would say is, I think part of the purpose of the groundwater protection is to protect groundwater. I don't see that there's any chemicals. Obviously, with this business, it's in, for baking for people with allergies. So I don't see how that can be possibly detrimental to any sort of groundwater. I agree with Mark's point about the size and the scope of the business. If it becomes bigger than what you can handle out of a kitchen oven, that she will want to move it outside of her kitchen. So I don't see any issue with the size and scope of it. So, and then in terms of signage, we're not adding anything outside the normal protocol that, obviously Bob is fully versed in. So any sort of additional signage will need to go through the proper channels there. So I don't have any other further comment or issues with this case. That's all I got. Is anyone else? Susie?
I agree with everything everyone has said, and having friends that I've learned how to use an EpiPen when their children come over to my house. I think it's and you're in these Facebook mom groups and you hear, you see someone post like, I have a child with this allergy and this allergy, which bakery covers those 2 allergies, and she's covering all 8. I think that's pretty important, a need in this area and for children. So, and as you said, it's not affecting the groundwater. So it seems like a good, I also agree with Fran, this neighborhood is very, very confusing. So.
Okay, Fran.
And sorry, in the draft decision, there is no indication about the hours of operation. I know that you had mentioned when she was having people pick up. I would actually prefer that there would not be any limitations because, during the summer months, it's, daylight till 9 o'clock. If somebody wants to come and pick up some cookies at 9 o'clock at night, I don't think that we should put any real restrictions on that.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with that.
And I would also, in the draft decision, I put in a prohibition about signs. So I'll modify that to say that a sign advertising the business shall require a sign permit from the building department.
Okay. Thanks, Lori. Does anyone else have any other comments or suggestions for conditions?
No. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the petition for their special permit and special permit with the groundwater protection overlay district for 29 Wilson Road, map 100, parcel 51, with the conditions amended in the decision, and along with the addition of the sign condition.
Okay, thanks, Brad.
Oh,
I will second that.
I'll give it to you, Fran.
Thanks.
So Brad made a motion, Fran seconded. Roll call vote. Brad,
Aye.
Fran,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Susie,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Okay. Thank you all very much. So next up is the pet grooming business located at 440 West Main Street. Map 80, parcel 33. I guess I'll just start by saying that, so this business, I should say, came in front of us for a couple of years ago for 269 West Main Street, which is sort of the Yamaskur building. This obviously has been a successful business. It's obviously done well. And now they're trying to sort of upsize and move to a different building. I think that this location at 440 West Main Street is probably a little bit more secluded. It's a bigger property. They will have the entire building as opposed to sort of just one sort of storefront, which I think is actually beneficial and good, so that there's no sort of nuisance to the neighbors. I think that all sort of the activities will be sort of during the day. And there obviously will be no overnight stays. This is strictly a pet grooming business. I think from a groundwater perspective, again, I always find it funny that shampoos and moisturizer and conditioners sometimes trip the groundwater protection overlay special permit that we're using to wash our dog's hairs with, or even our own sort of hair. But I guess that's just what the law states. But yeah, I guess just for me, I don't really see an issue with this business. It's obviously a growing business within Northborough, so I don't generally speaking, I don't have an issue with it. Does anyone else have any other comments?
Mr. Chair?
Brad, yes.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. It's great that they're expanding their hours of operation, which I have no objection to, especially now that they have their own building, and which is fine. The only thing I would say, I think, Lori, you may have mentioned it, just we carry over the conditions from the original decision over to this property. I think we were discussing that. Other than that, good to go.
Thanks, Brad. Mark?
Yeah, I just like to add that I think there's a safety issue here in that having their own building, dogs can get a little out of control. They have the isolation where it's just their clients. It's not interfering with anyone else. It's not interfering with anyone else's business. This is actually a plus. And they've shown themselves to be great residents in Northborough before as a business. So.
Fran or Susie, you guys have
I'm all set.
Can't add anything new to anybody. Everyone has said everything, I would say.
Okay. So I think just based on the decision, then Lori will obviously need to update the hours of operation that was on the draft decision. The facility will not be used for boarding. That's right. Yep. Okay, so yeah, I don't really have any other changes except for sort of the hours of operation from the draft decision. I don't know if anyone else has any other changes, or Laura, if you tracked anything else. Nope. Okay. Does anyone else have any other comments? Does anyone want to make a motion?
Okay, Mr. Chair. I move that we could, oh, actually, it's a modification. Let me just go to the language.
Well, I didn't want to do it, Fran.
Yeah, right, okay, all right. I move that we approve the modification of the existing site plan approval and special permit in the groundwater protection overlay district submitted by Lilica Grooming Spa at 440 West Main Street, with the conditions in the draft decision as discussed and modified at this evening's meeting.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Fran, for the motion, and Brad for seconding. This will be a roll call vote. Fran,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Susie,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. All right, next up is the consideration of petition for the special permit and groundwater protection overlay district submitted by Wen Ying Yi for the use of a personal service establishment in a property located at 247B West Main Street. Business West Zoning District Groundwater Protection Overlay District Area 3. I mean, I feel like I'm repeating myself here, but I think, you know, just from a high level, you know, again, it's one of these businesses, personal services, you know, doing Swedish massage, tissue massage, using massage oils, lotions, foot lotions, essential oil, and it tricks or it kicks out a groundwater protection overlay. I don't see an issue with any of the chemicals. They've been vetted by staff and everyone else. You know, I think the hours of operations are a normal business. I don't really have any other particular comments. Yep, sorry. Does anyone else have any? Yeah, Brad, go ahead.
Yeah, just agree with what you just said. You know, that was my first concern was, you know, the types of chemicals and things like that. They're all vetted. So all set.
Same friend.
Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. Just for clarification, I don't think it matters, but in the packet, it says that the street is Elm Street, which I know it's not. So I just want to make sure that I have the right packet, but that we have the right information for the file. So it says Elm Street.
Sorry, friend, which
It's on the floor plan of it's the Wu Design and Build. And it says the existing commercial space. I believe this was the nurse's uniform place, right? Bob shaking his head yes. Okay, thank you. So, I mean, I know that, I don't think it matters, but maybe it should be corrected.
It probably doesn't matter a whole lot.
Okay.
Something that will be corrected when they apply for the building permit to renovate the space.
Okay, thank you. All right. Otherwise, I have no issues with it. I think it's appropriate.
Yeah, and I guess just, yeah, I mean, there's really no conditions that we have. I think it's a normal sort of business that's going to exist in a, not in someone's home, but in an actual business area, where there's other businesses there, but there's no issues with parking, and the like. So given the application that was presented, I don't see an issue with this application.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, for everyone's, there's nothing else to discuss.
Yep.
All right. I make a motion to approve the petition for a special permit in a groundwater protection overlay district for the use of a personal service establishment in the property located at 247B West Main Street, map 82, parcel 16.
I'll
Okay, Brad made a motion. Mark seconded. Roll call vote. Brad,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Fran,
Aye.
Susie,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. All right. So next up is the continuation for the consideration of the 129 Maple Street. So for this one is requires a special permit to reconstruct a non-conforming structure destroyed by fire. It also requires a special permit for use in a groundwater protection overlay district, and it also requires a site plan approval for a proposed 5-unit, 4,600 square foot multifamily house. Does anyone want to go first, or Mark?
Okay, basically, I'm in favor of this due to the following factors as I see it. One is constructing what I would consider affordable housing is never going to be pretty. And I think this is a reasonable location for that. The other thing is that the current structure on site is a mess. It's had plenty of time to attract someone who might want to construct a single family unit like the rest of the area, and that just hasn't happened. I think we're lucky that nobody's been injured severely in the derelict structure that's currently there. I think this would provide, as I say, affordable housing in the area for single people or small couples, because it will be limited to 1 bedroom, and provide a nice, and will up the value of the rest of the neighborhood, as opposed to the derelict structure that, since I live in the area, I go by this all the time jogging, and it's a mess. That's it.
Fran?
Yeah, well, I'll go next. I mean, I think alternative housing to single family homes is a need in the country, in the state, and in the town. I happen to think townhouses, the 5 connected is not massive. I think it does fit. That house in and of itself never fit in with the ranches that were built in the 1950s. So it was, the mansion on the hill, so to speak. It was 5 units with, I believe, 7 residents prior to the fire. So now it'll be 5 units with potentially 7 residents. There's no guarantee or assumption that that there's nothing about our decision that should be based on whether or not a couple or a single person moves into them. The code requires the septic to be based on bedrooms, and there's going to be one bedroom. I appreciate the time and effort that the applicant put in with our design review. They did rake them over the coals at several meetings, and it came out with as even they said, to a better product. So I think that it would be a benefit to the community, and I think that it is looks like it's been well done. I think there needs to be again, the design review talked about shrubs and bushes. They recommended the windows on the side of the building, which makes a lot of sense, so you don't have that big wall. But they really did a good job of making it a nice looking end product. That's all.
Okay. Thanks, Fran. I mean, I guess what I would say is, so this property existed as a multifamily for a number of years. And I don't think that there's any question that it existed as a 5-unit multifamily for some time. So I think for me, so it obviously has all of the sort of not pre-existing non-conforming protections that exist that are provided by Mass General Law, that's provided by Northborough zoning bylaws, right? And I think, part of the reason why we're here and why we're listening to this case is because there was a fire, right? So if we look at our zoning bylaws, right, a non-conforming structure may be reconstructed after a catastrophe or after a demolition in accordance with the following provisions, and it sort of lists out the reasons, right? And so I think for this property, right, whether or not it exists as a 5-unit multifamily is sort of to the side, right? Because our zoning bylaws protect the right after a catastrophe and after a fire to continue a use, even though that use is non-conforming, right? Multifamily in the town of Northborough, right, is prohibited in residential A, B, and C, right, which is where this property is located. And so the applicant or the property owner for any sort of pre-existing non-conforming, when there is a catastrophe, has the ability without any sort of application to any board to rebuild within the same footprint of the same volume. And I think for me, the thing that I struggle with this project, right, are 3 things. One is the size change from the original structure to the proposed, right? So the footprint that is there currently is 2,600 square feet. The proposed is 4,600 square feet. That's 1.75 times the size. The finished square foot, currently 3,990, proposed 7,420. That's 1.9 times the size, right? Gross square foot, currently what's there is 5,400 square feet. The proposal is 13,900 square feet, 2.6 times the size, right? The second thing, size differential relative to the surrounding neighborhood, right? Now, of course, this building is much larger as it exists today versus the relative, right? But when you look at the houses that exist on Johnson Ave, right? All the houses that exist, the average finished square footage there is 1,600. Omaha Ave to the west, the average square footage there is 1,500 square feet. Rogers Ave to the north, the average square footage there is 1,400. Maple Street, which is what this building is on. You got to take away Peasley and the building at the end. The average square foot is 1,800 finished square feet, right? And then third, what I would say is the relative size differential of a 4 to 8 unit multifamily versus the rest of Northborough. So in the town of Northborough, there are 16 4 to 8 unit multifamilies that exist. There's a couple on Hudson Street. I think Whitney Street there's another one, right? So these exist within the town of Northborough, all with pre-existing sort of non-conforming use protections. Now, the average square foot of all of those 16 is 3,400 square feet, right? And so when I look at sort of the change from the original to proposed, the relative size in the neighborhood and the relative size of this kind of use in the town of Northborough, I think for me, it's hard to sort of wrap my head around the fact that the size differential is so great, right? And sort of the intention of pre-existing non-conforming protections, right, is to say, hey, if you have a pre-existing non-conforming use or structure, you are protected if zoning bylaws change, right? Our zoning bylaws were updated in 2009, 2010, right? And people of Northborough voted to sort of remove multifamily from residential zones, right? But this property was protected. It has those protections. And so to sort of, allow someone to come in and make such a great change for something that is a pre-existing non-conforming, I think for me, that's, just my opinion, that's the thing that I struggle with the most. And then I just, finally, I also think that, just in terms of pre-existing non-conforming, right, the whole goal of pre-existing non-conforming is to eventually get things into conformity, right? And so this proposal and this application, right, given sort of the size changes, differentials, right, is sort of not getting anything close to what would be considered to be somewhat conforming. So, and I think if approving it kind of sets a bad precedent or a bad example for future pre-existing non-conformity because of the size of the change that we would be allowed. Brad.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I echo your statement. I really can't get past the enormous increase in size of this project. Before it was multifamily, it can still be multifamily as long as it's in the same footprint. And even if the applicant came in asking for a little bit of leeway for certain things. And the second part, and I was going to mention that, is it's already non-conforming. And like I said, the applicant has an opportunity to continue it or keep it as non-conforming. But we're actually going in the wrong direction of farther away from non-conformity. So that's why for this project, I just think it's just way too big for a residential area.
Mr. Chair, can I just ask you just to clarify that the existing building footprint is 2,600 square feet and the proposed building footprint is 4,590?
I have 4,600.
Lord, 10.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
the numbers have really varied as this application has progressed through the process. It's my understanding that the footprint is 4,720 square feet. That's from the latest elevation and floor plan.
Okay.
Susie?
I kind of want to echo part of what Mark had said and then add on a little. I do agree with him. I was very excited when I had heard that someone had purchased this property and was going to be renovating it and taking care of it and rebuilding on it. Obviously, none of us want to be seeing it anymore, and it is an eyesore, and it is a reminder of the tragedy that took place. And I would love to see, even the same, similar looking multifamily being put back on in the same footprint. It was a lovely looking building beforehand. But I do agree with Paul and Brad that it's just too much for us to be granting, because I feel like then it sets a precedent that we would just have to be starting to grant in other areas kind of everywhere. And I've sat through town meetings and watched town meetings, and that's not what the voters had wanted. So I just want to say I agree with what Mark had said, and you know, it was a beautiful building. I was very excited to hear that it was purchased, I think almost 2 years ago or a year ago. But I agree with Mark and Brad as well.
Okay, thanks, Susie. Fran.
All right, and so, I mean, I'm just trying, I mean, I guess I mean, within the building itself, the units are not large, right? I mean, no, the finished area is 1472 per unit, which is very similar, I think, to the sizes of the homes and buildings. I mean, we do have other areas in town that have multifamily, and there are many of them over there as well. I just find it interesting because that townhouse style is very contemporary. To me, it's very neighborhood friendly. It's not a 4-wall multi, apartment building. They have almost like home-like features. I think that they're nicer looking than duplexes. Each one of them looks like a little house. They just happen to be connected. The property itself has been blended together, I think, into a bigger lot. So its overall coverage of the lot then is, I guess I just find it hard to figure out what we're going to do in a town that we are so against anything other than a single family, not so against, but we lend ourselves to look for single family homes on lots that could be utilized in a different way to accommodate a different people who want to try to live in town and want to rent and just want a small place to live. I guess I just don't see it being like such a detriment. And just like number wise, and just so you know that there are already 16 duplexes and two-family homes on Ridge Road. Maple Lane and Maple Street have 9 two-family houses. Harris has 12, a combination of duplexes and 2 families. So they're in the area. It's just a different looking building. I guess I don't find it offensive. It's just different. I don't know. Just my opinion.
I think Mark, you had your hand up first, and then
Susie, go ahead.
it's you, Susie. Susie.
I wouldn't say it's offensive. I would just say following the rules. I don't want to make law here. I mean, we're here to we're not here to make the law. I don't want to deviate from the law by too much. It's like what it is. It is it's not a bad looking building, and I do like the changes that Design and Review had suggested, and I appreciate all the time that everyone put in. But I mean, no one here said that's an offensive looking building or anything. I do want to, point that out.
Mark.
A few things. One is that this building is on a lot that's pretty much twice the size of anything else in the neighborhood. The other is that as whatever you liked about the building that did exist before the fire, I'm not sure you would have liked to have lived in the interior of that building, that you'll find that the units in there were crowded, and that as far as a modern attractive building, if you just rebuilt on the existing site, on the existing footprint, you would find that no one wants to live there. For comparison, I hate to bring it up, but the the building on the other side of Hemlock Drive on Main Street there, that's in front of the neighborhood further to the east of us, which is also, I guess, some sort of multi occupancy unit. And I know from friends who have been in there that it's not a pleasant place to live. I think he's creating a pleasant place to live for 5 units in a marketable way on this property. And, you know, we should realize that you just can't fit 5 reasonable units in a 2,600 square foot footprint and have anyone want it. You know, if you're waiting for this building to be reconstructed, that's not going to happen. And if it was, you wouldn't find it marketable.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Fran.
Thanks. So I just want, yes, and you're absolutely right, Susie. I didn't mean that people found the project to be a problem. It's the size or the different style of housing. What I would have to say is, though, non-conforming, pre-existing non-conforming, that's not more detrimental. How is 5 single 1-bedroom townhouses more detrimental than 5 apartments in a building? I mean, how do that's, it's not creating new law. We are interpreting the non-conforming use, saying, how is it more detrimental? It's 5 apartments, townhouses that meet today's need, where what was previously existing, to Mark's point, met a need that doesn't exist anymore. People aren't going to, there isn't as much of a market for small apartments in a building like it was as there is for these individual townhouses. It's an improvement in the style of living, and it is exactly the same. 5 single 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 5 1-bedroom apartments that meet today's standard of, you know, of acceptance. But again,
Okay, thanks, Fran. Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, you know, just going back to kind of what I said earlier, you know, you look at that neighborhood, you drive through it, you run through it, you know, the size of the houses, the style of the houses, you know, it's all single family. And, you know, what existed prior to that was, you know, essentially a farmhouse that was converted, which a lot of the multifamily in Northborough, that's how, you know, it existed. And I just think that, you know, the way these bylaws are written, the intent of the bylaws, the fact that multifamily is prohibited, you know, it's prohibited for a reason, because multifamily does have an impact on a neighborhood. And when you take the size of a building and you essentially, you know, 2.6 times the size of gross square footage, or 1.9 times this finished square footage, you know, that's a large building going on a piece of property. And I think that there are plenty of other options out there for this property. It's a big property. They can continue the use as it exists. But I just have a hard time wrapping my head around with the change in the size. So, you know, I think just going back to what is in front of us today, you know, in terms of the public hearing is closed. You know, similar to a case that we had last month, you know, we have to make a decision on sort of the non-conforming reconstruction special permit. the special permit with site plan review, and with the groundwater protection overlay. So, in terms of when we need to make a decision, we don't need to make a decision tonight on this if we don't feel necessary, but I mean, I'll leave it up to other members of the board. Fran?
Well, I mean, during the public hearing that we just closed, the applicant's engineer went through a lengthy list of conditions that were in the draft that was created by our planning director and agreed to every one of them. They agreed to change many of their aesthetics to meet the recommendations of the design review. I think in fairness, we owe them a decision. I still don't see how a special permit, again, we're doing a special permit, how you do that without accepting the fact that the project as submitted and with the conditions that are in the draft that Lori put together, that they don't meet the special permit for the non-conforming multifamily use in the groundwater overlay district. But I mean, I don't want to rush anyone to a decision if somebody needs more time to look at those conditions and the project as a whole.
Thanks, Fran. I guess then, just for, from a straw poll perspective, does the board feel comfortable with making a decision on this application tonight?
I do.
Okay. Fran, you do as well?
I do as well.
Okay, Brad and Susie?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I guess just so I guess, Lori, do you think that we should take a vote on each individual part of this case, meaning we should take a vote on the special permit to reconstruct a non-conforming structure, a vote on the special permit for use in the groundwater protection overlay, and then a vote for the special site plan?
So there's the non-conforming criteria. And then, of course, there's the 3 criteria for the special permit and the groundwater protection overlay. So if you could go through those 3 criteria, and if you plan on voting no, if you could explain your rationale for why you're voting no, because I would need to reflect that in the decision, or at least that is my recommendation, because should the applicant decide to appeal the decision, there should be some sort of rationale that they are appealing and that town council is defending.
So Bert, can you, for the groundwater protection overlay special permit, can you just remind me what the 3 criteria are?
Sure. Let me get to that page. So one moment, please. So the criteria is listed on page 768 of the zoning bylaw. So it's section 7-07-010. You want to look at letter E, 1 through 3. So the first one is meets the purpose and intent of this chapter. It will not derogate from the purpose of the groundwater protection overlay district will not, number 2 is will not during construction or thereafter impair ambient groundwater quality or reduce existing recharge capacity beyond that allowed per this chapter. Number 3, will not adversely affect the quality or the yield of an existing or potential water supply. And then the criteria under non-conforming. So that's on page 787. So section 7-08-060 subsection A1. So the criteria that they have to meet is, let's see. Oh, hold on a minute.
I think it's 7-85 where it's the 708-020 special permit required. So the zoning board of appeals may grant a special permit to reconstruct, extend, alter, or change a non-conforming structure in accordance with this section only if it determines that such reconstruction, extension, alteration, or change shall not be substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming structure to the neighborhood. And in making such determination, the zoning board of appeals shall consider whether the proposed use is different in character or in its effect on the neighborhood or on property in the vicinity. I think it's sort of like the powers test.
I think, were you looking at 708-050?
No,
Where are you looking?
708-020.
I don't believe that's the correct one.
According to the draft memo, it's 708-060 on page 787.
Because this is reconstruction after catastrophe or demolition.
Mhm.
So it's, I'm sorry, I told you the wrong thing. I told you 3 subsection 2, it's subsection 3. So you may issue a special permit to reconstruct a non-conforming structure after catastrophe prior to demolition in the event that the proposed reconstruction would A, cause the structure to exceed, I'm sorry, the applicable requirements for yard setback and or height, or cause the structure to be located other than on the original footprint.
So Lori,
Oh,
that
it's-
is, what page is that? 708-60 A3?
Yes, A3.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
All right, I guess Lori, then for the site plan approval, is that just the normal site plan approval criteria? I mean, I know everyone had said that they are ready to make a decision tonight, but I think if we need to confirm some things, I think it might be better to push this to next month.
It is the typical site plan approval criteria. So not the criteria for a special permit. It's just the straight site plan approval criteria.
Right. Okay. Fran?
All right, so I would say to your point, Paul, the fact that we are asking Lori to possibly deconstruct the draft and
Yep.
make it into 3 separate ones, it makes more sense, to me, that we hold off and do our due diligence before we, jump to a decision of all 3 at one time.
Okay. I would agree with that, Fran.
Yeah,
Brad?
yeah, I agree with that, Fran, as well.
Okay. Mark, Susie,
I still feel that
Okay.
the applicant deserves an answer tonight, but.
Okay.
if I can give one.
Susie, do you have an opinion on this?
I mean, if Lori needs to, if we need to figure this out, I think we should just wait. We don't need to
Okay.
rush to this part.
Okay.
I like to get my ducks in a row. Let's get our ducks in a row.
That works for me. So, I don't think we need, there's no motions to make on this. I think we could just take this up at our next meeting.
Do we have, through you, Paul, Lori, is this the one that we have 45 days? Or
90,
because we
or
close
100.
90?
We have 90 days from the close of the public hearing.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Okay. So let's see. That's all the cases. All right. So next up is the vote to be taken regarding the petition of 305-309 Main Street LLC for a special permit for use, special permit for groundwater protection overlay district. So Lori, just to, thank you for putting this together. This is obviously a very long decision. Let's see. Let's see. So I guess to start, has everyone had a chance to read sort of the draft decision? Both the draft decision and then the draft, this other draft decision. And does anyone have any questions? I guess. Mark.
Mark, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry, Mark.
If you propose the denial and and the denial passes 3-2, what's its status? In other words, there was a denial proposal here. If the denial is proposed and does not get 4/5 vote, does that mean the denial fails and therefore they get their request passed?
So all motions should always be in an affirmative format.
Okay.
So the motion should be to approve.
Okay.
And then if the motion fails to get a supermajority vote, so 4 yeses, then it would fail. And then we would go to a denial decision. So site plan review typically requires 3, a majority vote, as opposed to a supermajority vote.
Okay.
So we'll have to see where that one goes.
All right.
So if you could go through the decision criteria, that's what I would recommend. And then we'll see where it goes at that point. Paul, are you speaking because you're on mute?
Sorry. Oh man, I had such good stuff to say right there. Sorry. I was just, Thanks, Laurie. So I was just saying for this case, there's sort of, similar to the last one. So there's 3 separate special permits. So there's a special permit for use with regards to the drive-through. There's a special permit with site plan approval. And then there is the special permit for the groundwater protection overlay district. And I think, just, I guess I'll just summarize my thoughts. So my thought hasn't changed on this case. I do think that, for the groundwater protection overlay, I think that there was a decision where we sort of split that out. And last time we talked about the special permit for use and the special permit for site plan review. I do think that, the applicant did meet the criteria for the groundwater. And so that I think for me, I would be voting in favor for the groundwater protection. But Mark, do you have your hand up? Sorry, you're on mute right now.
No, it was just left over. I didn't know.
Okay. So then I guess just to sort of review, so I guess to start, I think what we should do is we can take a vote, sort of approving or making a motion to approve each separate incident, the special permit for use, the special permit for site plan review, and then the special permit for groundwater protection overlay. I think there is a draft decision that sort of has some of the background for the special permit for use of the drive-through, and then some background with some detail for the special permit for site plan review. So I think probably the easiest one is special permit for groundwater protection overlay. Does anyone have any additional comments with regards to that portion? Take that as a no. And then with regards to the site plan, special permit for site plan review, does anyone have any additional comments with regards to that? Fran?
Right. I just want to make sure that in the decision for the site plan approval, that the traffic pattern, the traffic study, and the because that's the curb cuts and so the site plan approval has to do with the parking and the curb cut on East Main, right? That's not the drive-through is totally separate, right? So then on the site plan approval or the site plan decision, I think it's important that the police chief's comment letter, as well as the traffic study results, be listed in the findings of fact, not just as exhibits, so that the content of them is included as to the reasons for or against approval of the site plan.
Fran, if you want to include that in that decision, if you could give me the exact verbiage that you want me to include about those letters, because I have them listed in the exhibits. So if you want me to include something in the findings of fact, if you could specify what exactly you want me to say, that would be helpful.
Okay, well, let me just ask then, so from the content of the letters are obviously what is either supports the applicant's position, right, or the special permit. Having just listed in an exhibit, that is still, like legally binding. I mean, it still counts as a fact, right, as an exhibit, just like the letters from the people count as part of how a decision is created. Because if that's the case, I don't think it needs to be, but I'm just looking at it.
typically what I do with the findings of facts when I'm writing a decision is I'm choosing findings of fact that back up the decision. So the finding of fact for an approval decision is different than the findings of fact for a denial decision. So.
Right, and so again, I'm looking at the draft. Oh, this is the groundwater protection overlay draft. That's the only one. I was just looking at that one.
So the exhibits are just what is part of the record. So in an appeal situation, all of those exhibits are pretty much part of the case.
Okay, well, that makes sense. So, all right, so in the decision that has everything in it together, right? Because we have one draft decision that has all three together. Then we have one draft that's just the groundwater and one draft that's just the special permit with site plan approval.
Correct.
Right? Okay, so the one that has all three. I have to go.
Yeah, I think, Fran, what I would say is we can go through each of the items, special permit for use, special permit for site plan, and then the groundwater. And then, basically the draft decision that has sort of the backing or the detail for, if we were to deny the special permit for use and if we were to deny the site plan review, those are in sort of that draft decision there and how it would be written. We don't need to I don't think we need to sit here and wordsmith it on the decision. I just need to, I guess what I'm looking for is just, any sort of feedback on sort of what Lori had sent out.
Okay, all right. So then I was just wondering if it would make it easier to move forward if we just focus on the one that the special permit for groundwater and just discuss it and vote on it and then move on to the other two.
Sure, we can do that. So, I mean, I guess then, I assume everyone has had a chance to look at the groundwater protection overlay decision. And does anyone have any comments, questions, concerns with it? No. Okay. So I think all of these decisions should be motioned to the affirmative. Does anyone want to make a motion for the ground? Yep, sorry, Fran.
Sure, Mr. Chair. I move that we approve the special permit for the commercial development and groundwater protection overlay district area 3 on the subject property located at 305 and 309 Main Street with the conditions, safeguards, and limitations on the time or use as set forth in the draft decision submitted by our Director of Planning.
I'll second.
Okay, thanks. So Fran made a motion to approve the special permit for groundwater protection overlay district as laid out in the draft decision from Lori, seconded by Mark. This will be a roll call vote. Fran?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Brad?
Aye.
Susie?
Aye.
Okay, and I'm an aye as well. Okay. So if you want to tackle the special permit for site plan review, we could take that motion separately and then take the motion for the special permit for use after that. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Oh, so I'm sorry, Paul, just because the draft is already written with them together, would we make motions and just say Lori would have to parse them out, or are all of them for both? That makes sense.
Lori, I guess I'll does it matter if we combine the special permit for use and the special permit for site plan review in our motions and decisions, or?
You can do them together, or you can do them separately. And then I can take it from there. So if you decided that you wanted to approve one and not the other, then of course, I'd probably need some guidance from you. It would probably be somewhat complicated, because then we'd have to figure out what aspects of the project you're approving and what aspects of the project you're denying. But why don't we cross that bridge when we get to it? So maybe you could just make the motion, and we'll see where things lie.
Okay, so basically, if we make the motions individually and they ended up not passing, then we can combine those two motions into one sort of decision, which is kind of how it's laid out in the draft. Okay,
Correct.
so I think then what we should do is make a motion for the special permit for site plan review first, and then we can make a motion for the special permit for use. Sorry, Brad, were you saying something?
Nope.
Oh. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll do it again.
Okay, thank you, Fran.
No problem. No problem. Okay, I move the board vote to grant the special permit for the drive-through food service in Business East District per the zoning bylaw, section 705030. They have to keep going with special permit for the commercial development. Oh no, that's already, we did that. I apologize. With the conditions as laid out in the draft decision submitted by our planning director.
Sorry, Fran, was that, are you doing the special permit for the drive-through food service first?
Yes.
Okay. So this is so Fran made a motion for, to approve the special permit for food, special permit for drive-through food service. Is there a second? Okay. So Fran made a motion to approve the special permit for a drive-through food service. Mark seconded the motion. This will be a roll call vote to approve the special permit. Fran?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Brad?
Nay.
Susie?
Nay.
And I am a nay as well. Okay. So next one is the special permit for site plan approval.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve the special permit with site plan approval per section 703050 A1C to allow the expansion or redesign of the existing parking lot at 305 and 309 Main Street with the conditions, safeguards, and limitations on the time of use set forth in the following draft decision submitted by our planning director.
Thank you, Fran. Appreciate it. So Fran made a motion to approve the special permit with site plan approval. Mark seconded that motion. Fran?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Brad?
Nay.
Susie?
Nay.
And I am a nay as well. Okay. All right. So I think that takes care of the 305, 309 for now.
Brad, I'm sorry, Paul, there were
Yep.
waivers that were also requested that we probably have to vote on. I think.
Lori, do you know if we have to vote on the waivers?
Yeah, I mean, well, technically you should have voted on the waivers first. But you didn't, so I would suggest doing that at this point.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chair,
Yep. Fran,
I move that we grant a waiver of the requirement to install the 7-inch high safety curb abutting a walkway that abuts the exterior side or rear wall where it exits an entrance or exits normally used by the general public as depicted on the site plan. The curb is 6 inches high.
okay. So Fran made a motion to approve the waiver,
I'll
Mhm.
second.
and Mark seconded. Roll call vote. Fran,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Brad,
Nay.
Susie,
Nay.
and I'm an A as well.
And Mr. Next one.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, I move that we grant the waiver from the Planning Board Rules and Regulations, Section 7.2C9, the waiver of the requirement to show all existing trees over 10 inches in diameter at breast height on the site plan. One, grant this.
Second.
Fran made a motion, Brad seconded. Roll call vote. Fran,
Aye.
Brad,
Nay.
Mark,
Aye.
Susie,
Nay.
and I'm an A as well. Okay. Lori, is there anything else for 305, 309 at this point?
Well, of course, you have the draft decision in front of you. So in letter A, I specified the reasons for denial for the special permit for the drive-through. And then in section B, I specified the reasons for denial of the site plan approval. Could you folks let me know if you're on board with those suggestions or whether you want some changes to wording?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think generally from my perspective, I'm fine with the wording. I don't know what anyone else thinks about those, but I think we can provide those to you.
I did. Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
No,
Susie.
sorry.
I did. I had printed out 2 copies, Lori, and when I had called you and I had thought that I didn't have any, I did have one changed. Do you want me to send you an email or do you want me to tell you now?
Why don't you tell me now?
One of them was that I thought there was a safety issue of children having to walk from the parking lot and crossing the drive-through area to get to the picnic table. The 1, 2, 4 times to get from the cars to the picnic tables and back again to their cars. I thought that was very important.
Okay, so where do you want me to include that?
Well, are you separating the decisions for the, I don't know, I guess, because it could go, well, yeah, I guess for the denial of the drive-through.
Okay.
It wouldn't have to do with the parking site approval. Site plan.
Okay, so the first one is the proposed use as designed will adversely affect the low density residential neighborhood in the vicinity of the project, which currently consists of mostly single family homes on lots ranging from ½ acre to 1 acre to more than 1 acre. So it talks about the noise created by people ordering from the menu board, increased traffic on East Main Street, increased congestion at Bartlett and Main Street. Do you want me to add it to that bullet or do you want me to do a completely new bullet? The second one has to do with minimizing the adverse impacts to the residential neighborhood by eliminating the drive-through and egress onto East Main. So you want me to add it as a new bullet?
I think so.
Okay, so could you just tell me the words? that you want me to use?
Lori, can she send you an email? I mean, I think the gist of
Can
it
I
is
send
kind of
email?
what she's.
Because I wrote it
Okay.
in pencil in my minivan during a rainstorm while I was waiting for the kids to finish warming up on the soccer field before I had to go out and watch them. It's in pencil. Let me send you an email.
Okay,
It
so
says-
then I'll send it out to all of you because of course, I need
Yeah,
the all of you to sign off on the
Yeah.
addition. So I will need you all to individually respond to me and say that you're okay with that modification.
yes.
Okay. Thanks, Lori.
I'm sorry, Paul, but can I just get, so we have the draft decision that Lori put together, and she then listed 2 sections of the bylaws, and then put the reasons why this project does not meet them, right? The first one has to do, as you just said, about the bad outweigh the good, the benefits to the town and the neighborhood. And so then that talks about low density housing, the drive-through and the facilities. Nothing in there would give you an opportunity to say that any one individual thinks that the parking lot, the way it was designed, would be dangerous to children in it. The second one may, but it's talking about the land use and building location and egress point. I would think in there, if it was, but that's not, it just doesn't meet like the criteria. I mean, it is a concern, but I don't know how it becomes part of our decision, that because it just sounds to me that it is, and I don't want to diminish the concern, but I'm trying to figure out where does that fall into findings of fact and references to our zoning bylaw. I mean, the zoning bylaw talks about the parking location closer to the front lot line of where the principal structure is. Because of that, it's dangerous for kids to walk through it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, I don't know how that fits into it, because I could come up with a whole bunch of reasons why I think this would work. And then you can still deny it. I mean, it can still be, defeated, but I'm trying to figure out, again, maybe because we've never had to write it in the negative this way. And I still don't understand, if there's not a supermajority, how anything passes if it has to be 4-1. But I don't think it belongs in there. It just doesn't seem to fit. I mean, I get what Susie's trying to accomplish, but I just don't see how it fits in part of our decision, in the decision itself. As one of the reasons we're denying this is because there's a concern about how kids will walk through the parking lot. I mean, then it just, I don't know.
I suppose when you look at the special permit criteria, number 4 on page 713 is there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. So Susie, what are you saying is anybody who's walking through a parking lot, that's creating a hazardous situation? So I'm just kind of concerned, how are we going to defend that when we have people walking through parking lots all over the town?
Well, I don't want to leave something out that I don't know if this is something that I want to discuss, not in executive session right now. And
we can't talk about it. We can't talk about it in an executive session because there's no litigation.
Okay.
So
all right,
we have to discuss it here in open session so that we're not violating the open meeting law.
if we don't put something in our decision now, are we not allowed to bring it up later?
What do you mean?
So
I'm
if we
kinda
don't
confused.
cite, if we don't cite something or we don't use something, like you say, you're using certain facts and you're using certain things in your case, and we're formulating our decision right now, and then we don't bring something up as a reason now, if we are appealed later, are we not allowed to bring it up because we didn't bring it up now?
That's correct. So if they appeal the decision, then they are appealing the reasons for denial. So so you can't make something up later and add that. So this decision is going to be the final product. So if you want to add something, now is the time to add it.
Right.
You know, if you add it after the appeal, then it can't be considered.
So
And
Susie,
I do think that this parking lot is, for the nature of what it is as it was being a dry ice cream shop with picnic tables on one side and your parking lot on the other, and crossing the drive-through 4 times to get from, when you go to a walk-up window, to get from your car to the picnic tables, was unsafer than any other parking lot that you're going to go through. I do believe that that super more unsafe parking lot would be a reason to be brought up. And the reason why I would be just randomly throwing it into that thing is because, as a former attorney who passed 3 bar exams, the 3 hardest bar exams in the United States, I'm just going to throw that out there. I may have never stepped foot in court, but I worked for attorneys that did. I thought that it's important just to double check to see if we needed those facts in there. And I'm trying to see how much we do need in there. I don't want to be caught off guard, and I just want to be as thorough as possible.
So essentially, it's the ice cream. So the fact that they're walking with an ice cream creates a hazardous situation.
It has nothing to do with the ice cream. It's the situation of going to a walk-up window and having to cross through from your car to the destination of picnic tables, right? And you have to cross through the drive-through 1, and then to go to the picnic tables 2, again 3, and then 4.
So
I mean, I wasn't against this business concept. I want a business to be there. I'm not against small business. I'm someone that tries to help small businesses in this town as much as I can.
So I guess, Susie, just for clarification, right? There's 2 denials, right? A special permit for use of the drive-through, and then the special permit with site plan review. You're concerned about the dangerous parking lot. Do you think that that should be under the special permit for use drive-through? Or
Yes.
should it be under the special permit for site? So it should be under the special permit for
the
use
for
of
the
drive-through.
drive-through. Yeah,
Okay.
I think the site
So I
plan,
think-
I agreed with the image that we were given. I agree with the drawing with the line that headed across. If you all remember, I don't know, the red line. I agreed with that, with the frontage, that interpretation.
Okay, so I think what we can do is, to Lori's point, is if you want to wordsmith that and send that to her tonight or tomorrow morning, and she can send out a final draft view for all of us to look at, and then we can provide comments. I think that, you know, and if people agree or they don't, then I think that could be the way forward. Fran, sorry, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, so 2 things. One, I mean, I want if what Susie just said, she agreed with that piece of it, then maybe we need to re-vote on this special permit with site plan approval, because maybe that should not have been voted against just because the concept of the drive-through is the problem. I mean, the reason we
No,
took separate
no.
votes, no? Oh, okay, all right. So
No,
then
I
it-
agreed with, I agreed with Dario's drawing that had been sent in. Like I voted
Okay.
against that as well. Yeah.
Okay, all right, so then
Sorry.
all we really, no, that's okay. So then all we really have to do is add like another section to the decision and reference the special permit piece that says, number 4, there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicle or pedestrians. That's the piece of the bylaw that your concern fits in. It's just not listed. It would have to, that sort would have to be added.
So I just had Roman numeral number 4 under A.
Yes.
Yes. Not that I agree that it needs to be there, but that's where it would go if you thought the need for it to be there.
Okay. Susie, was that the only sort of, was that the only comment you had with regards to decision?
Now that it's been clarified that there, I might add it, I might send like maybe 2 or 3 more. Now that I
think
know
they,
that.
they really need to be talked about in the open session though. Like
well,
the particular
if we-
wordsmithing can be done later,
Yeah.
but you know, unfortunately,
Well-
the deliberation has to happen in the public setting.
Then the ones that Brad had brought up during the first discussion that we had, when he went through the discussion and he kind of went through the points right there. I wish we could just rewind to that. I thought those were great points. I don't know if he remembers.
I'm
No.
sure I have the letter from Design Review.
We had a letter from a woman from Design and Review that was great that you mentioned, Brad, and I think there were 2 other points, and those were just the ones that I wanted to go back and
Yeah, I don't remember. Sorry.
watch the meeting and just go back to. But they were probably, I think they were the same points, Lori, that you were going over, the first 2 points in the.
Just bear with me, I'm getting to it. So 3 of the 4 members of the committee do not agree that the proposed building renovation is compliant with the 2012 design guidelines on many levels, materials, roof line, color, architectural style. I did include that in the decision. That is
Section B,
under
number
B,
1.
B,
One.
Roman numeral 1.
I think it was
Then-
a woman who was she was formerly on Design and Review or no, the Master Plan Committee. And Brad had quoted her letter, and I really liked that. I thought she had great points, but I can't remember the
Yeah.
woman's name. Fran, do you remember?
Tracy Camarada. It's Tracy Camarada.
Tracy?
Camerano.
Yeah.
It would be helpful if you could just say what you're interested in, because
I'm
you
just
know,
looking for it
I've got
right now.
an entire stack of letters.
Yeah,
So if you could specify the words, then because I need it, at least the topic needs to be discussed in the open session. Otherwise, I can't include it because it would be an open meeting law violation. So then we can wordsmith it later.
Would we have to bring up that about the traffic report, or is the traffic report and the increased number of the cars and everything in the future, or is that included as it's part of the findings of facts and evidence? Like, do we need to refer to it, or it's part of the record?
Well, the traffic study had a lot of information in it.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the conclusion was that there's going to be minimal increase in traffic. So I need to know specifically what you wanted to include.
Okay. I would quote that it's not in line with the design is not in line with the master plan from the design review committee, from the letter that was stated on 9/22/23 from the
I already
letter
have
from
that. That's
Oh, you already
already
have
Roman
that.
numeral
Okay.
1.
Sorry, I was just reading from the Tracy letter and making sure that everything that was in there.
So then I have the parking lot violates zoning bylaw section 7-09-030 with regards to the parking located closer to the front lot line than the front line of the principal structure nearest to the front lot line. Then I have the 7-inch high safety curb, and I have the fact that they didn't locate the trees of 10-inch or greater diameter.
All right.
I mean, unless you guys want to come back and give me, give it more thought and then finalize it at the November meeting.
I mean, I'm good. I was just gonna build off what Brad said. I just
Whichever
wanted to
number.
review Brad's words.
Sorry, Susie, was there anything else that you wanted to add, or?
No, I'll wordsmith that part about the
crossing?
parking lot. Yeah, the crossing.
Okay. So then I guess everything else is in the draft decision that we received from Lori. And then we will add one bullet point to that. Okay. Lori, does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. Can we move on to the next topic?
Yes.
All right. So the next item up on the agenda is the discussion of a possible change of town council. So at a previous.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, do we have to vote on the denial? Or does that just become the denial because we voted against the other one?
Yeah, so because it didn't achieve the 4 yes votes, then it's an automatic denial.
And then this then becomes that denial.
Yes, unless you want to make
no.
more changes than those that were discussed. So,
Oh, no. I just didn't realize that. Thank you.
So at a previous planning board meeting, they discussed a possible change to town council. So currently, Dave Dineski, who is a municipal lawyer for KP Law, currently is our sort of liaison for any sort of land use questions. The planning board has sent a letter to the town administrator requesting someone who specializes in land use cases and has a background in land use law, whereas Mr. Dineski has a background in sort of municipal bylaws. I believe, Lori, if I'm summarizing correctly, essentially the planning board is sending a letter sort of requesting that, they get representation from a land use lawyer. I believe you had a recommendation for someone that you've had experience with. And I was proposing that the zoning board would do something similar and send a letter to the town administrator requesting that when we do have questions with regards to cases or decisions and how they're written, that the person on the other end of the phone is someone who specializes in sort of land use law. So, Lori, did I miss anything there? Is that basically the process? So I guess
Yep, that's pretty much it. I understand it's a decision that can be made by the interim town administrator.
Okay, so I think just so the board is aware, I'm looking for feedback on us sending a letter to the town administrator requesting that, when we do have questions with anything with regards that comes from our board, that we are represented by someone who has specialized in land use. I don't know if anyone has any, concerns, opinions, comments. I'll leave it open to members of the board. Susie.
Susie, you're muted.
You're muted right now.
I think I unraised my hand and just started talking. I think it's great when you have a specialized attorney to handle your specialized cases. So if we have a land use attorney to handle our land use cases, that would be wonderful.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other opinions or comments, Fran?
Well, I would say twofold. One, I believe he's part of a large practice that he probably can consult with the land use specialist. He's been our attorney. I don't know that we've had any issues with him, but if they want somebody specialized, I would just be concerned about if there was additional financial cost to the town having to have more than one attorney, town council on retainer.
Thanks, Fran. Lori, when there are questions that come from the planning board or the ZBA or any other boards, the cost that gets sort of billed, is there any difference that you're aware of?
No, because this is still the same firm. So it's just a different attorney within the same firm. So I don't believe that there's a difference in cost, except maybe, the hourly rate of an attorney who has more or less experience than another attorney. So there may be some fluctuations in their hourly rate.
Okay. So I guess if there's no other, if anyone doesn't have a strong opinion one way or the other, then I will draft a letter to send to the interim town administrator, sort of making that request, something similar that the planning board has done. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So next up is the August 22nd minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read them?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Fran?
I move that we approve the minutes of the August 22nd meeting as submitted.
Second.
Fran made a motion to approve the minutes. Brad seconded. We'll do a roll call vote. Fran,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Susie,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So our next meeting is November 28th at 7 p.m. Does anyone have anything else to bring to the board at this particular time?
No.
All right,
Mr. Chair,
Fran.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Fran made a motion to adjourn. Mark seconded. Roll call vote. Fran,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Susie,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Okay. Good night.
Great. Good night, all.
Have a good night, everybody.